All right, welcome back to the College Sports Superfan. Let's get into some huge men's college basketball games this week. I'm planning on having two videos out. These ones kind of about the games that are earlier in the week, tomorrow. Well, by the time you're seeing this video, it might be the day of Tuesday and Wednesday, and then later on this weekend, the games Saturday and Sunday. So let's get into these games. So many insane men's college basketball matchups. There's also some great women's matchups. So I plan to have a video out about that as well. Those great games beginning on Wednesday. So first, let's start off with Michigan at number 11, Wisconsin. This is Tuesday. Again, these are all in chronological order of when they occur. So Michigan at Wisconsin, early Big Ten action. I absolutely love it. The Wolverines made the right decision moving on from Jawan Howard, who was known for having some let's just say fiery and interesting outbursts. Let's just say that. In my personal opinion, probably should have been fired a long time ago because of his conduct on the court. I truly believe the only reason why he wasn't fired earlier by Michigan was A, because he's a historic player and an alumni, and B, because he also had a couple of really talented sons that were going to go to Michigan guaranteed. So the Wolverines probably thought they were going to be winning a lot more games. But notice once his sons graduated, boom, they had no more use for him and he was fired. Pretty interesting how that works there. But, anyways, Michigan now much better. 6-1 on the season. They're coming off of a dominant 78-53 win over previously undefeated and ranked Xavier. They're on a 5-game winning streak. Their only loss was coming against Wake Forest. About to get about into them in just a second. They only lost to Wake Forest by 2 points, so the Demon Deacons very good. Michigan has also been much better defensively than Wisconsin. 4.7 blocks per game compared to Wisconsin's 2.1, and 7.6 steals per game compared to Wisconsin's 6.2. Wisconsin is only better in overall points per game, 85 versus 80, and free throw percentage, Wisconsin has a huge advantage in 86% on free throws, which is really, really good, and 66% for Michigan. So Wisconsin, if it comes into a late game and it's really close, you know that they're going to knock down their free throws. Michigan, that's a bit more iffy. The player matchup to watch is Vladislav Golden versus Noah Winter. That's going to be a great big man battle inside. Must see matchup. And John Tonye has just been fantastic. I believe that's how you say his name, Tonye. He has been averaging nearly 23 points per game. He's such an exciting guard to watch. I think Wisconsin, though, at home, just a little bit too much. They're more battle tested and they've proven they can beat big time teams more so than Michigan has. I think Wisconsin gets the job done and wins this game by 6. And all their fans will be jumping around after this one is done. Next up, Wake Forest at number 22, Texas A&M. So I told you we'd get into Wake Forest here. This is part of the ACC versus SEC challenge. Lots of great games as a result of that. The Aggies are much better statistically than Wake Forest. They're scoring roughly more than 9 points per game more and 8 rebounds per game more than the Demon Deacons. But the Demon Deacons have also been forcing more turnovers, and they do have a better free throw percentage, 74% compared to the Aggies, 68%. So again, if you're below 70%, it's not all that great. The Aggies have only one loss to a stunner in UCF. And then they also had a 10-point loss to Oregon, who's now in the top 25. They're now ranked number 12 as they've gone undefeated, and they also went on to beat Alabama in a thriller in the Players Era Tournament Championship. So they beat Texas A&M during that. The Aggies, though, do have impressive wins over Creighton and Rutgers and Wade Taylor and Zarich Phelps. I think I'm saying his name right, Zarich Phelps. They have been a fantastic guard duo. Wake Forest, they've got close wins over Michigan, which I just mentioned, and they've got a close win over Minnesota. However, they do have blowout losses, 2 blowout losses to the ranked teams, previously ranked teams that they played in Xavier and Florida. So that's not good. However, Hunter Salas has been excellent at guard for Wake Forest. And Salas's matchup versus Wade Taylor Probably going to be one of the best guard matchups you see all season. However, the Aggies just have way too much. They're much better defensively, much better rebounding. I think they win this game by 10, especially at home. That's just too much for Wake Forest to overcome. All right, number 4, Kentucky at Clemson. Mark Pope, new head coach, new sheriff in town in Lexington. He has this offense absolutely rolling. They're averaging 97 points per game. Little John Stadium there, or Little John Coliseum in Clemson, it's going to be rocking. People are going to be heading to the gates to see this matchup. However, the Cats just have way too much firepower. They're also much better in almost every single statistical category, every major statistical category. They go on the road. They're going to survive, win this game by 7. Okay, now let's talk about Baylor and UConn. Baylor's number 15. UConn is number 25 in the country. What is going on with the UConn Huskies? I mean, they just completely lost it in Maui, and they lost every single game they played. On top of that, they also lost their star, Alex Caravan, and they're going to need that 3-point shooting against Baylor because Baylor's got a lot of great shooters, and that's going to now be a major edge. They don't have Caravan anymore. The Bears have tons of great outside shooters. For example, Jared Nunn is coming off a game where he just hit 7 3-pointers in a game. I don't think the Huskies are going to be able to keep up even at home. I think the Bears end up winning this game by 5 or more, and UConn is still going to be searching for a lot of answers. They're going to have to hope that they can bounce back on Sunday against Texas. All right, let's move on to number 10, Alabama at number 20, North Carolina. This is a matchup so many people have been waiting for in anticipation. North Carolina kind of all over the place. They've had a wild start to the season. They nearly came back, but just barely lost to number 1 Kansas on the road, 92-89. Then they completed one of the biggest comebacks in program history. They were down 18 points against Dayton in Maui, and they came back and won that one in an all-time thriller, 92-90. But then they got dominated by number 4, now number 2, Auburn, 85-72. In my opinion, I think Auburn should actually be number 1, honestly. We'll get to them in a little bit. And then lost a crazy game where once again they had to come back against Michigan State. They came back, tied it up, sent it to overtime, and then just lost it in overtime 94-91. So this team constantly falls behind, has to catch up. Most of the time, they're not quite able to do it. If they could just start off strong, then this would not be a problem. I even remember seeing a game they were playing at college called American University. Now, they ended up blowing American out because they're terrible, but they started off really slow in that game, too. So this continues to be a trend for the Tar Heels. They've got 3 superstar guards, though, and R.J. Davis, Elliot Cadeau, and Seth Tremble, who's been a great outside shot as well. And then freshman Ian Jackson has been terrific depth, and then even Cade Tyson can come off the bench, hit a couple of threes. So this guard depth is amazing, but they got to get some more production from their front court as well. So starting off strong, getting production from their front court, they need that badly. Now let's talk about the Crimson Tide, who's also more guard heavy as well, which makes this matchup really fun here. So the Crimson Tide, they've been playing one tough team after another. You can't say that they didn't schedule a difficult schedule because they took a tough loss to Purdue, bounced back against Illinois. They won an overtime thriller against Houston. They won a back and forth game against Rutgers, and then they lost to an incredible thriller to still undefeated Oregon. So Alabama's had quite the wild start to their season as well. R.J. Davis versus Mark Sears going to be one of the best, not only one of the best guard matchups you'll see all season, it's going to be one of the best player matchups you'll see all year. But you know what? I say the Heels are going to find a way to win this game at home because the last time Alabama had a true road game against a great team like this was against Purdue. That did not go very well. These other games, of course, have been neutral site games without very big crowds. This is going to be a packed house in the Dean Smith Center. Alabama's going to struggle here on the road. They're going to keep it close. I think North Carolina finds a way to win by 3, especially if it comes down to free throws because the Tar Heels have nearly an 80% free throw percentage. All right, we just got a few more games to go here. Number 5, Marquette at number 6, Iowa State. So these are some of the games that are happening on Wednesday. And by the way, Baylor and UConn and Alabama, North Carolina was also on Wednesday. Anyways, Marquette, Iowa State, these games is going to happen on Wednesday. These two teams are very evenly matched across the board. This is an incredible top 10 matchup in the Midwest here. The Golden Eagles do have a major advantage when it comes to forcing turnovers. They're forcing 9.4 per game compared to the 8.5 per game from Iowa State. And hitting three-pointers as Marquette is averaging just over 10 three-pointers made per game compared to Iowa State's 7.3. But the Clones have home court advantage, and Hilton Magic was real last year. They went undefeated at home. This is one of the toughest places to play in all of college basketball. It's Cam Jones versus Keyshawn Gilbert. That's an incredible guard matchup right there. That's must-see TV. Both of them so good offensively and defensively, forcing steals as well. However, I think the Cyclones ride that home court advantage that's going to be so strong. They've got such great depth, and they're going to find a way to win this game by 3. All right, number 1, Kansas on the road taking on Creighton in Omaha. Will the Jayhawks finally get taken down? It's been close. It's been close multiple times. And the Blue Jays, yeah, they're not ranked anymore. Yes, they went through a rough stretch where they lost 3 games in a row, but they are still averaging nearly 13 turnovers per game, forced, not committing, but forced. And they have the free throw edge 78% to 71%. But the Jayhawks are one of the most efficient offenses in the country. Their rating is a 105 rating. They have been so accurate on their shooting. I think they've been no, sorry, that's another team. Sorry. But they've been so accurate on their shooting and their passing. Hunter Dickinson versus Ryan Kalkbrenner. This is going to be one of the best center matchups you'll see in the entire country, in the entire season. However, Kansas, this is way too much firepower. I think it's going to be close. The Jayhawks are going to survive this game by 3 on the road as Creighton just hasn't proven to me that they can win against the big-time teams just yet. Okay, and now, one of the biggest games of the week. It's happening Wednesday night. So this is just to show you how crazy and passionate this Duke fan base is. Let's just get into this wild stat here. Just talked about number 5, Iowa State. Number 6, Iowa State hosting number 5, Marquette, right? The lowest ticket prices for that game are around 20. It's like around $25. You could still buy a $25 ticket to see that top 10 matchup the day before it happens. The lowest ticket prices to go to Cameron Indoor Stadium to see Duke take on Auburn is around $670. So just to show you how crazy the hype is for this Duke team. Auburn has had the way better offense so far, and Duke has had the better defense. Auburn's offensive efficiency rating is at 110. Kansas is at 105. Duke's is at 101. But Auburn's field goal percentage, this is a big reason why, is just over 52%. So think about that for a second. Auburn, on average, is scoring just over half of all shots that they're taking. Chances are you're going to win a basketball game if that's the case, or that continues to be the case. Duke is at 46%, which again is not a bad percentage. And at three-pointers, both teams are at 36%. Janai Broome versus Cooper Flagg. This is the matchup to watch. Both will kind of play that forward center position. They're going to end up matched up against each other multiple times. This is going to be one of the best player matchups all season long, point blank, period, must-see TV. The Tigers, arguably the best team in the country. I think they should have been ranked number 1 based on how they've played lately, although I understand Kansas being number 1. To me, they're kind of 1A and 1B. Tigers are incredible. They're going to go on the road. I think they take down Duke on the road by 3 points. All right, thank you guys so much for watching the College Sports Superfan. Got some more videos coming out for later this week. There's some more great matchups this weekend I really want to get into, from Kentucky going on the road to play Gonzaga to Wisconsin taking on Marquette on the road in their rivalry game. So hit that notification bell. Stay tuned for those. That's going to be an incredible video. And thank you so much for supporting the College Sports Superfan.